All right, good day, everyone. As mentioned, I am Mike McCammon. I'm the Executive Director of the NFC Forum. Welcome to our webinar where we'll be discussing the NFC release that was recently announced previously in June, and one of the primary features around extended range. I will go ahead and we have a couple of guests, but let me start with some housekeeping. If you are unfamiliar with GoToWebinar, you are defaulted to mute by the organizer. There is a question pane. We do have some time reserved at the end of the webinar to ask some questions. So if something comes to mind, go ahead and type it ahead of time, and then we can take those questions once we get to that point of the meeting. You also have an audio pane that if you want to switch your audio between the telephone or mic and speakers, you can also do that as well from the control panel. Next slide, please. Our speakers today will first start off with Prati, who is the chair of the board, Dr. Mohammed Radni, who is the co-chair of the Analog Digital Working Group, will walk us through the technical specifications part of NFC Release 15. Arnaud, who is the chair of the Compliance Committee, will talk about the CR15, which is also part of NFC Release 15, and I'll have some closing comments at the end of the session. So let's go to the next slide, please. And with that, I'll introduce Prati, and I'll turn the floor over to her. I'm sorry I didn't turn on my camera, but I'll let Prati do that, and I'll turn myself on mute.
Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome from my side as well. Thanks for taking the time to join this webinar from NFC Forum on our NFC Release 15. Next slide, Helene. NFC Forum has been for the past 2 decades, for more than 2 decades, been shaping the contactless ecosystem. We developed near-field communication standards. The forum consists of more than 800 members, including some tech global giants, and provides and also providers of contactless experience to more than 1 billion users every day. NFC standards enable many use cases in identity, in mobility, in payments, mobile payments, and now for digital keys and sustainability, for example, digital product passports, and also for physical access. Next slide, Helene. The forum has enabled use of NFC technology to become pervasive and convenient. Every other year at the forum, we commission a survey and a study of how the technology is developing in the market. And the last study highlighted a few very interesting developments in this space. 85% of the consumers that were surveyed, it was a global survey with more than a dozen countries, they feel comfortable with the use of the technology. They use the technology almost every day. I know I do. Beyond payments, mobile payments, public transport is a key driver for contactless use cases, and this is training users of the contactless ecosystem, how to use it, and they are becoming more and more comfortable with it. We see that from the study, it was becoming clearer over the years that tapping and then learning about products, tapping, unlocking doors are things that users want to use the technology for. And over the years, more than half prefer to use the mobile phones or smartwatch or any other wearable over contactless cards, which is why we have started to look at what do we do to push the boundaries of this technology. Next slide, please. We have been consistently looking at how we push the boundaries of the NFC technology, and as part of the NFC Forum board, within the membership, it was obvious to us that we need to do a few things to ensure user experience and improvement in the way the technology is used for future use cases. NFC Release 15 was announced last month, and this is going to be publicly available to all in fall. However, if you are a member of the forum, you can already start using the specifications and the compliance program and start building solutions around the features that we would have released in this release. NFC Release 15 comes up with very interesting features, and I'm really excited about it. One of the key features is extended range. This has been our vision as we launched the technical roadmap, that we extend the range from 5 millimeters to 20 millimeters. This is fourfold. This is going to help not only ease the use of the technology for existing use cases, but also perhaps open some new ones. Another key feature to look out when you are looking at NFC Release 15 would be the NDPP that we have released to enable us for sustainability use cases. For providers of devices and products into the European single market, some of you would be already aware that digital product passport is becoming a mandatory requirement. For NFC as a data carrier, we have been looking at how we can bring this feature to the market, and that the first glimpses of what it could look like would also be released in this version. In addition, there are many more use cases that would ride the wave of how NFC can be used as a technology to build security into the ecosystem and into your device. Next slide, please. With this release, what we have also done is restructured and made it better how we are going to release the various specifications and certification program. Historically, our releases for certification, for technical specification and the certification have not been very tightly connected, leading to confusion in the market. And we have, with this release, aligned more tightly the certification program with the specification program. This alignment, I believe, will increase not only compatibility and the importance of the certification program, but also help with interoperability, because both on the tech side as well as on the certification side, we would be on the same scope. Next, today, you would have Mohammad Ratni and Arno, who would walk us through each pillar of the technical specification and the certification program, respectively. With this, I hand off to Mohammad.
Thanks, Preeti, for this nice introduction. Sound check. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Mohammed.
Oh, great. Okay, that's great that people on the side can hear me. So thanks for Preeti again for this nice introduction. So I will try to guide you through the presentation of the technical overview of the extended operating volume. Next slide, please, Helen. So we'll walk you through this presentation, which will cover several bullet points. The first one is the market interest for NFC range extension. What are the market requirements and the challenges of this requirement? How did NFC Forum analog working group converted this requirement and challenges into a concrete project or research project with schedule, planning, and deliverable? And how did we achieve, or what did we achieve? What are the benefits and the impact of this study for the market and for the industry? and so on. Last but not least, I will end up my presentation with the NFC digital product passport specification we just have been released in the last weeks. Next slide, please. So market request, as every standard, NFC Forum has also eyes and ears to listen carefully to the market interest and to the industry and the technology leaders, and of course, as well as the simple NFC users. Extending the NFC operating volume was, I would say, the missing piece for the NFC Forum analog working group in specifically, but in general also to the NFC Forum. So NFC Forum has identified this market interest and the need through the several surveys. As you can see here, AB Research, which issued this kind of research in 2022. This was exactly at the same time when the board also has elaborated and provided the roadmap. So it was really a good synchronization between the market interest and the NFC Forum roadmap. So next slide, please. So to listen to the market requirement, to the surveys, and to the board roadmap, we have received, the technical committee has received a request from the board to perform a study to increase the current operating volume as is defined in the analog specification. Moreover, we have also received a request from the automotive industry, which kindly requested the NFC Forum the possibility to increase the current operating volume for automotive application like digital car key application. So next slide, please. So requirement and challenges, and to respond to the market challenges and the market requirement, NFC Forum took those requirement and challenges on its shoulders and has converted these challenges into a real project. And so we have put the requirement, and as in all projects, when you put requirement, you should expect also to have challenges. And challenges in analog working group were concrete. Requirement for those challenges. 3 bullets have been one of the bottleneck, I would say, which we had to go through to successfully conduct this project to the end. And we had to get the operating volume increase only in z-axis, which is not that easy. At the same time, the challenge was to keep the interoperability between the former operating volume and the new operating volume, which means from OV5 and OV20. And we have also to take care that all the undefined NFC antenna categories should be applicable, which means we should not miss any antenna size. So keep all the current defined size, especially class 6. People who are really making testing, and people who are really knows the specification, knows how difficult to achieve this requirement, especially for class 6, which is one of the smallest antenna that NFC Forum has in its spec. And the last but not least is keeping harmonization with ISO 14443, which is the foundation of the NFC technology. So those are the challenges and those are the requirements. So the team has converted those challenges in and requirement into real project. Next slide, please. So the research set study, so extending the operating volume, as I mentioned, was challenging. We had to make adjustment. Without this adjustment, this project will not see the light, or was not possible. So 3 challenges and 3 adjustments. We had to keep the harmonization to ISO 14443 part 2 by increasing the field strength from 14.5 ampere per meter to 18 ampere per meter on class 6. This is what I mentioned was really a challenge, a real challenge for us. We also had to do a slight adjustment to the load modulation reception for polar device. We also had to map the minimum load modulation transmission limit to meet and to be in harmonization with ISO 14443-2 to operate the operating volume. Next slide, please, Helene. So the project, as I mentioned, the requirement were converted to real project with phases. Phase 1 was the most important, I would say, where we had to define a new candidate limit for the NFC Forum specification. To do that, NFC Forum dispose of reference equipment, which means devices that we can use for our testing. Those are called reference equipment. And you can see we have 3 polars and 3 listeners. So those are the devices that we used in order to check our new parameters. So we had to define the new candidate limit in order to achieve the OV20, the operating volume 20 millimeter. As I mentioned before, 2 parameter limit value were identified and they needed to be revised, the field strength and the load modulation amplitude. There are other parameters, but those parameters we did not touch to them. So we only modified the field strength and the load modulation amplitude. So we have changed the parameter, provided the measurement, and we went through a measurement campaign where all the polar and listener confirmed that after changing those parameters that achieving a 20 millimeter was possible. So we did not stop here because we had another challenge, is to prove to the market and to the industry that those parameters, those new parameters, can also achieve or have been defined also to work with real devices. So this was in phase 2. So we took devices, market or consumer electronic device which are available in the market. Of course, we had to change the parameter as defined in phase 1, and we had several testing. Several companies provided similar conclusive results. More than 7, I think 6 to 7 devices has been tested and have been responded positively to our measurement campaign and to the phase 1 results. So we had the comparable result between phase 1, where we used our reference equipment, and also comparable result for using the consumer electronic devices. Next slide, please. So what did we achieve? Benefit and impact. One of our first goal was to improve the user experience. This was, I think, challenging and one of the highest achievement that we have achieved. The team has worked as successfully to improve the operating volume from 5 millimeter to 20 millimeter. And as Preeti mentioned, this is 4 folds. I think we can say it easily, but the challenge behind it and the time spent for the measurement was quite tremendous. And I would like also to thank all the people who contributed to this effort and all the company who participated. So user experience improvement for all use cases, for the public transport, for the payment, for the automotive and digital identity, which is, I think, one of the next challenge for in the area of the technology. So what did we achieve also when we say user experience improvement? So it's the feeling of a speedy connection or transaction. So the feeling that the user does not have to put his card many times in order to find out to align his antenna with the reader or with another device. Here you can feel the speed connection and the transaction. NFC form factor design flexibility, especially for reader devices, have been made possible to perform measurement over 20 millimeter on class 6, which is the smallest antenna, will allow the industry also to perform new designs for antenna without fearing to have a bad communication or bad transaction, since the new device or the new defined specification will allow the industry to have the freedom and the liberty to design a good form factor antenna without taking care about the specification or the pass verdict. A slight adjustment to the analog parameter value limit to achieve OV20 here, just to comfort the industry that we did not reshuffle the whole analog specification, rather that the two parameters were just stocked, which was the field strength and the load modulation amplitude. Next slide, please. Last but not least, the extended capability for digital product passport, NDPP specification has been released. This specification defines how to store digital product passport on an NFC data carrier. It supports the storing of several data type. We have a link data, the basic data, and supplement data. I won't go through all those lines, but when I say link data, it means to set a URI referring to an online DPP information which is stored on the device. The basic data is a subset of the DPP to store on the data carrier for offline use, and the supplemental data is an information which is included on the top what is already existing. So NDTP allows the digital product passport data to exist with other same end of message as defined in NFC Forum. It also allows the using of an automatic URI reading, which support all the off the shelf by all smartphones. This is it from my side. Thanks for joining this presentation. I ask Arno for guide us through the next presentation on impact and certification.
Yes, thank you, Mohamed. So good morning and good afternoon. My name is Arno Schreiner. I am working for NXP, but I'm also the chair of the NFC Forum Compliance Committee. And today together, we will have a look on the third part of this presentation, which is NFC Release 15, Impacts on Certification. Next slide, please. So as explained, nicely explained by Preti and Mohamed, NFC Release 15 is divided in two parts. First one is a set of specification for Release 15. And on the second side is a new certification release CR15. Let me guide through my presentation. So today I will talk to you about the scope and content of CR15. We'll talk about the applicability to device classes. We talked about the timeline and also about our CR14 grace period and this soft fade out that we are discussing right now in the forum. And finally, I will end up with a product certification. Next slide, please. So let's have a look on the certification release 15. Next slide, please. Scope and content for CR15. So in order to meet the deadline, we have decided in the compliance committee to shrink the scope to only enablement of the NFC Forum 20 mm operating volume. So for this, we have as a content added a new NFC Forum OV20 test cases next to our OV5 test cases. We took the opportunity to say that, hey, we are working now on a new analog specification. We know that for many years, we had one test cases which were covering several polars several listeners, several loads, several resonance frequency, for example. And here we decided to make it clear and to have it included in our updated analog test case ID. So with this, we have a clear definition for each subcase in analog as we had for digital. And as a third bullet, we have decided to extend our LMA reception test. So before we used to have only one command and response exchange, and now we want to test up to the activation. We have seen with some devices that they were able to understand that there was a minimum LMA, but not able to decode the frame. So that's why now we want to test the minimum LMA up to the activation. Very important message here is that OV20 is not replacing OV5. We will keep in our certification program both operating volume. NFC Forum OV5 on one side and NFC Forum OV20 on the other side. And as explained by Mohamed, those two operating volume are compliant, meaning that if you have a device certified for OV5 and a device certified for OV20, they remain interoperable. Next slide, please. Let's talk about applicability of the operating volume for device class. As you know, we want to have a consistent user experience in our whole NFC ecosystem. So that's why we worked on a new revision of devices requirement version 3.4. And the important point for you will be to look on this table 24. We have decided and we want to push that all generic device class like universal, mobile, reader, and card emulation device will be mandated to be compliant to the OV20 operating volume. For tag device, it's another story. Here we have decided to keep the choice for the device manufacturer to either certified with OV5 or OV20. We know that for passive tag with very small form factor, it might be challenging to pass OV20. So in order to not exclude them from certification, we have decided to keep both, to keep the choice to the device manufacturer. Regarding other device class, which are not on this table on the right, for example, for the CCC digital key reader and card emulation devices, we are working right now with our liaison partners to define the right operating volume for their use case. Concerning USI, wireless charging reader, wireless charging tag, WPC key reader, and WPC key tag device, we have decided to keep it as it is, and this will remain unchanged. Next slide, please. So we have seen the scope and content. We have seen the applicability to the device class. Now let's have a look on the high-level timeline for CR15. As you know, we have launched our CR14 beginning of this year, and we worked right away, a compliance committee, to define the scope and timeline that we completed in end of March. We had a very successful compliance committee interim meeting in Graz, which was hosted by Infineon, end of May, to complete all the documentation for CR15. So we were able to have a very stable draft for devices requirement 3.4. The main piece of CR15, which is this test case for analog version 3.0, which is approved by testing working group, and finally complete the validation procedure for the tools when they want to get the accreditation to be CR15. During the whole month of June, tool had the time to perform their development, and now we are entering the phase where the tools are going for validation. Today we have 3 tools working on the implementation of OV20. We have Scilab, we have Comprion, and we have FIM. We are supposed to complete by end of September to be able to launch CR15. The best way to evaluate if your design is compliant to OV20 is to test it. So I invite you to contact your test tool vendor. You can have the list on the NFC Forum website to be able to get some beta version, which I know for some tool vendor it's already available. And like this, you could evaluate your own design. And finally, 1 month later, we will enable all the lab. So they will need to pass what we have, which is called ILCT2 measurement. Next slide, please. Let's talk about the CR14 grace period and this soft fade out. So NFC Forum recognizes the importance for device manufacturer to assess the OV20 requirement. That's why we will set the grace period to the maximum possible. But in parallel, we, Compliance Committee, are discussing with the board to add on top what we might call a CR14 soft fade out. So it's a soft fade out from OV5 to OV20 to give ample of time for device manufacturer to move from one operating volume to the other. Next slide, please. And exactly, and just a small reminder, as you know, we have a specific automotive grace period for automotive device class, so for the CCC digital key reader and card emission device, and soon for the ICCE digital key reader and card emission device, we have this automotive grace period, which will end up in 2031 because it's we have here a 6-year grace period. Next slide, please. So you have seen what is CR15. You have seen that we will include OV20. Now you can evaluate your current product with test tool. Let's have a look if you are compliant and if you want to get certification. Next slide, please. So to get certification, first it's in 4 steps. First, you determine your device class. Is it a specific market ecosystem? Is it an open ecosystem? Then you select your certification track, full certification, inheritance, or rename. I will explain in a second slide what is exactly this second step. Then you decide on your ATL. So here you have the list of the authorized test lab directly on the NFC Forum website. And finally, you have a very easy way to apply directly on the NFC Forum website, and our kind NFC Forum staff will review your application, and then you will receive your NFC Forum certificate. Next slide, please. So like I said, I wanted to take a bit of time to explain you each certification track. So you have full certification, inheritance, and rename. Full certification will be adapted for chipset manufacturer because you will have to run both analog and digital tests. Inheritance will be more suited for module or end product manufacturer because if you are using already an NFC Forum chipset certified, then you can inherit the digital part, and you would just need to go to the laboratory to perform your analog test. And finally, we have a rename certification track in case you have a product that you have certified, but you have a second product which have exactly the same NFC implementation, but just change the color or change something which is not related to NFC, then you can use this rename process directly on the NFC Forum website without any need of testing. Next slide, please. And once the testing is done at the ATL, you have a very easy guided process on the NFC Forum website to apply for certification, and you can get listed afterwards on NFC Forum website. Important information, you have the possibility to either keep it private, so it will never be on the NFC Forum website, or to set a specific date of publication, because your product launch is, you have done the testing, but maybe your product launch is only in 2 or 3 months. You can set a specific date. Next slide, please. And with that, I conclude my talk. Thank you very much, and then we'll hand over to Mike McKinnon.
Thank you, Arnaud. A couple closing comments here, and go ahead, and if you have some questions, go ahead. We do already have one question. If you have others, please add them. I have a couple of other ones set here as well. So begin asking those questions because I only have one slide here. So next slide, please. So I always like to end these types of sessions with like, what are the next actions that all of us should be taking? So you'll just go ahead and click one time to give me the first bullet, Helene. So obviously, if you're a product designer, you really should start thinking about how you're going to prepare your products to become NFC Release 15 compliant. Next click, please. And that starts pretty much with the specification release. So the specification release 15 is available now if you're an associate, a principal, or a sponsor member of the NFC Forum. It will be available to adopter members and the public in the fall. And so you're kind of, I guess, locked out or unable to begin that process if you're not one of these higher levels of the organization. But adopters can always upgrade to associate if they want to get this early access to start working on their products to become compliant with the new specification. Next, build. I will tell you that certification release 15 that Arnaud talked about is ongoing work. The members of the compliance committee and partners are working towards this release of September 30th. If you are a member of the NFC Forum and you have expertise in this area and you want to contribute to that work, there are opportunities for that as well. The certification release is the thing that's being finished at this point in time through the compliance committee. Next slide. And the last thing that I'll mention that Petit did talk a little bit about is it was about 2.5 years ago, the NFC Forum went through the process of developing a technology roadmap. We came to a consensus on 5 work items. And what's really great that NFC Release 15 basically achieves 2 of those, the extended range and digital product passport. But we are in the process of reorganizing that Tiger team to start those conversations again. And we'll be working across membership in the community in hopes of having an updated technology roadmap to present to our members at our Paris member meeting, which will happen in October. Next slide. As I've mentioned, our membership has started this process, and it is open to sponsors and principal members of the NFC Forum, and also to our SIGs will be providing inputs as well. Next slide, please. And I've mentioned the Paris thing. All right, so we've kind of wrapped up. We have the line open for the next 15 or so minutes for folks to ask questions. I do have one already in queue. If my colleagues will turn on their cameras and microphones, will get us all here at the table. So the first question came from Rich, and their question is, how does the read range apply to tags? Is the extended read range applied to the phone and or tags or readers, or what are the relations to all of that? And why don't I'll ask Mohammed if you'd like to take the first cut of that.
Can you just repeat the question, please?
Yeah, how does the read range apply to tags? Is the extended read range applied to the phone and or tags and readers is the question.
And we have, when we made the presentation, when we made the study, we have made several tests, including devices like readers, but also tags. So the same distance, which is available for devices like mobile phone and so on, is also available for tags. So there will be no difference between uh, reader reading a mobile phone device type or text.
All right, great. Thanks, Mohammed. I do have one question that I prepared ahead of time. And I'll first ask Prati this question, I guess, is what changes would you expect users what changes might users expect as NFC Release 15 compliant devices become available in the market? So what will the user experience? How will that change when NFC Release 15 becomes more broadly accepted and adopted?
Mike, I would like to answer this question with a little bit of background on what NFC enables for users. Um, let's talk about one more data carrier, which is the QR code, which is quite widely used.
Yep.
What NFC helps users to do is it reduces the number of steps a user has to do to be able to reach a point where they can use the application or the activity or do the activity they want to do. For example, if somebody wants to read a digital product passport, let's take that example. If there is a QR code and you're trying to read the digital product passport, you first need to go switch on your camera on your phone, and then you need to bring that device close to where the QR code is. You need to align it. This is difficult for an aging demographic that we have globally. It is difficult for those who have any issues with doing that kind of balancing, bringing the camera close to the QR code and so on and so forth. Sometimes the QR codes don't even read that well. What NFC helped users to do is with the support of NFC in mobile phones, you can bring the phone close to the tag in this case, and then it just works. I mean, it's natively supported by all the big phone makers. Not only that, you do not need a camera anymore. You can bring a card, a contactless card, bring it close to the tag to the reader, and then you are able to access, whether it's reading the digital product passport in this case, or it is about doing any other action. What we have observed in the field in the last 2 decades that NFC has been used consistently by billions of users every day is the proximity that the user has to bring the device with the user device to the reader. The forum had standardized it to 5 millimeters. As a result, the consistent use of that transaction is limited to bringing the phone still very phone or even a card still very close to the reader. We believe if we are increasing the range, it is going to enable users to do that comfortably. So this whole progression from bringing and aligning your phone or your camera to the QR code to making the ease of this movement where you bring the tap and then you can just read and go about whatever you're trying to do, open doors, make mobile payments, so on and so forth. This will become even better when we are bringing the extended range of 2 centimeters. In addition to this, I do sincerely believe there will be more and more use cases that would be possible. So the users will benefit from a broader range of applications that they can use with this tap and do kind of behavior that has already happened.
All right, great. Thanks, Prati. Now we've got a flood of questions, so I'll ask a couple and I'll just toss them out to the group. So this question here is the next question was: will device to device and device to tag still have a seemingly different range? So, for instance, tap to pay with a mobile device seems generally easier to align than a card tap. Will this continue to be the case? Will it seem like phones work better than cards when tapping? Anyone want to take that?
Maybe I can take this one and maybe add a bit on top of Mohamed's first response. What we are doing with NFC Release 15, we are pushing also all our devices to increase their output power by harmonizing this 14.5 to 18 ampere meters. So we are really pushing a polar device to bring more output power to power the device in front. With that, that's how we extend the range. But we have seen, and analog and digital working group members and CC members have recognized that for a passive tag with a very small form factor, it will be challenging. They will. That's why we still keep for tag device a possibility to certified with OV5. Saying that, of course, a mobile device is an active device powered by battery, so it has additional features that a passive card doesn't have, and that's why it's easier for an active device to reach a higher communication distance. So that's, I think I'm answering to the question that you give, Mike.
All right. Let's see. You want to add anything, Mohammed? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to walk over if you want to add.
No, that's fine from my side. That's good.
Okay.
No.
Well, so this next question, I'll ask it, but I will first start off by saying the NFC Forum has no control over the marketplace and what companies charge for their services. But the question that did get asked, Arnaud, you probably would want to take this, is that as operating volume becomes bigger, the number of measurement points will likely increase. Do we expect testing costs to change based upon that?
So today we had in OV5 you have 14 points, 14 testing points. You will move with OV20 to 37 testing points. We had already some talks with one lab to ask if it would increase. They said that nowadays a tool vendor can perform tests in a very fast way, and they base their price on the time consuming to execute the whole testing. So likely there will be an increase, but it will not be the double because it's double point. If it's a question, I think it will be more like a slight increase. But I invite everybody to already discuss with their lab. You have the list of ATLs on the NFC Forum lab, so you can already question them. I think it's important point to answer.
Okay, thank you. So next question comes from someone who works for a developer of payment terminals. Their question is cards are at a distance today of 4 centimeters, active NFC tags up to 10 centimeters. Do I understand correctly that with the NFC Release 15, you're just legalizing this new state in the market, or how would they want to understand that?
Do you want me to answer that, Mike?
Whomever wants to.
Okay. What I would like to say is yes, and that is I won't use the term legalizing. What I would like to say is this is more about standardizing it. There is, we know, active tags and active devices which go up to 10 centimeters. And we know that our liaison partner, EMVCO, has been providing their standards for up to 4 centimeters. So this behavior or this need has been there in the market. What the forum is doing with this immense work and the long journey that we made to extend it from 5 centimeters operating volume and keeping it backward compatible, increasing it from 5 to 20 millimeters, 5 millimeters to 20 millimeters, and keeping it backward compatible is to ensure that we are having a standard set of tests that can be run by solution providers, and NFC Forum standardized test cases can help in bringing a consistency in what would be seen in the field.
All right, it's a good answer. Mohammed or Arno, do you want to add anything?
Yes, if I may add on top of what Pretty nicely said, more from the on the very technical detail. I think what we try to achieve is to have a broad, open ecosystem. So we want all NFC devices from the ecosystem to be able to talk to each other, not only about payment, but NFC Forum is every use case. So what we achieved with OV20 is saying that all devices compliant to OV20 will be able to talk to each other, whatever the use case they are applying. Of course, here it's just about interoperability and does not prevent you to reach higher performance, meaning if you achieve OV20, of course, does not prevent you to achieve 4 centimeters or even more with very specific technical detail, technical.
All right, great. We are just got a couple more questions. I think we can squeeze in here real quick. This one person says that they have a reader that uses a particular chip. When NFC Release 15 becomes available, do they have to change the chip or just replace some resistors or capacitors? Or what is the process for them to make their reader compliant?
I can take this answer. So as I mentioned in our presentation, the current chip which are certified CR13, of course we had to define a new values, and to achieve the OV20, I think the devices has also to change the should I say change the chip or change the values which are on the read. So it's not as straightforward. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been through all those study and research study to improve the OV5 to OV20. So definitely, as we mentioned, we have changed the values and the chip. In order to achieve the OV20, we have to define some new values in the chip.
All right, great. I have a question that was actually submitted in Korean. And according to my translator, I'll tell you what the question was. What impact does NFC Release 15 changes have on CCC reader devices specifically?
So I will take this one. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
That's a very good question. As I said in my presentation, it's currently under discussion. We have sent a liaison statement mid of June, which was reviewed by CCC members at their face-to-face meeting in Berlin. we will receive, I guess, an answer very soon. So I will not give any straight answer because it's still in discussion. Yeah.
All right. Well, then this last question, I guess I'll share that's related. Well, I guess we don't know the answer because the question is, are automotive reader devices mandated to comply with operating volume 20? And I guess we haven't really decided that on the device classes, correct or no?
So for CCC, it's still in discussion. For ICCE, which their request was clearly that for the vehicle entry scenario, so most likely your reader on the door handle, you would have to comply to this OV20, and for their console reader, so in the middle, would still keep to OV5.
So, Mohammed, you mentioned on your slides that one of the goals was to harmonize with ISO 14443. The question is, what about ISO 15893 and 18092? Are those within scope or are those outside of scope of NFC Release 15?
So when we did the harmonization many years ago, our target was mainly 4443-2. You mentioned 1516 for the Type V. I think this is also, but I would rather see the harmonization mainly on ISO 14443. This is, I think, the foundation of the NFC technology. And once you are harmonized to this specification of ISO, I think you have big chances also to be also harmonized to the others. So
Right,
our target is mainly the ISO 144.
All right. And while you have the microphone, there's another one that's related to NDPP. Someone has asked, could you provide an example of what supplemental data might look like? I have a couple examples, but I'll let you go first.
Oh, very good question. I think the main supplemental is that if you have a product on the shelves and this product can update its product directly on the top what has been already on the data carrier. So a concrete example is difficult, I think, to find one, but honestly, not in my mind.
Maybe let me help you there. For example, it's for the number of battery cycle. So if your NDPP is linked to a battery, then you could update the number of battery cycle in your NDPP carrier.
Yeah,
that would help recycling company afterwards.
Yeah, that was one of the prime examples. Is so if you have the logic is that if NFC is used as a data carrier, it's a chipset that could be connected to the logic board of the product, which therefore it could retrieve data from the product. So this classic example of a battery, an EV battery for a bike, for instance, it would be very easy for someone to know the cycles that have been used because it could be read from the board. Whereas if you had a data carrier that was something like a QR code, it just could connect to the product. It can't read data off dynamically from the product. And that was one of the primary use cases I know that was tossed out there initially. So, all right. So does any of this work have any impact on wireless charging for NFC wireless charging today? Mohammed, is there any impact at all, or is that something that's out of scope for now?
No, this is out of scope. Wireless charging is not targeted. Any of the wireless charging specification is not targeted with this range extension. This is out of scope from the beginning.
All right. We've had a couple of questions about will these slides be available and will the presentation be available? And yes, following the presentation, the recording will be available on our website. On the same page and where you registered, you'll also be getting the email towards the end of the week that'll let you know that it's available. So that's just one of the little housekeeping item. I would take a quick look through what else we've got here. Well, so I'm going to ask this question: if we have to increase the field strength to comply with operating volume 2.0, do you consider the impact on EMC? It is already difficult to pass all EMC tests, specifically in the automotive. Do we expect any issues with NFC Release 15?
We don't have any, Arno, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have any test cases on EMC, on electromagnetic compatibility for NFC. I'm not expecting any issue with that probably.
So in my view, it's a fair question because the device manufacturer not only have to go to NFC Forum, but to get other certification. We decided when we wanted to increase the field strength to not go beyond what is defined by ISO 14443. That's why we have decided to go from 14.5 ampere meters to 18 ampere meters. And we believe that this should make it possible to pass EMC filter. But it's device dependent and we need to look into it. Anyhow, also the field strength, here we provide a increase maximum. Does not mean that your device has to go to 18 ampere meters. It means now that you have the freedom also to navigate between 14 and 18 ampere meters. I hope I answered the question.
That's great. All right, let me just take a quick scan real quick, otherwise we will wrap things up. So the presentation. All right. Well, let me ask this final question, I guess. I think, well, all three of the panelists can probably answer, but I'll let Arnaud go first, I guess. So since extended range is primarily focused on changes to analog capabilities, can product designers just solely rely upon getting a new chipset to make this work, or is there additional work and testing they should do to ensure that their product is interoperable?
So here it might impact, your device might already be compatible, so please evaluate. But if it's not, there is several solutions to that. It could be to adapt the antenna design, to adapt the tuning, or also to adapt the chipset for higher output power as well. But as you know, NFC 15 is not only about higher power, it's one part, it's also about LMA. But from this point on LMA, we make some slight adjustments. So here it should work with a chipset validated for V5 should be able to work for V20.
All right, Mohammed, would you want to add any commentary to that?
Very complimentary. A lot of devices are exceeding 20 millimeter in the field since many years, I would say, but they have never certified against these values because the certification program allowed by NFC Forum was operating volume of 5 millimeter. And I will second what Arno said. This might be that the devices are already complying to OV20. So I think the first step is to just try to see whether the devices are compliant to OV20. And then if something or issue, I think chips can be always tuned if possible, especially for the field strength. For the LMA, this is another topic. So it might be a little bit more difficult.
All right.
And I would go further on that. Yeah, thanks, Mike. I would go further on that. What the extended range and what NFC Release 15 is actually doing is it's building a very open ecosystem up to 20 millimeters. And that is really key to understand. As Mohammed mentioned, we are standardizing, we are testing that from NFC Forum tests and our specifications that we have put in place. So these by itself will enable a better user experience because there will be consistency in the way the devices would interoperate even if they are provided by various different providers. So from that point itself, it's not only the distance, but I think it's the consistency and the openness of the ecosystem, which will allow more players to come in and work with each other's devices. And NFC, in the end, there is a consumer part, which the consumer holds in their hand, whether it's a reader or a card. And then there is the merchant or the counterpart, right? Which is then either from the entity which is providing the service and or the merchant which is taking a payment. So from that point of view, I think it's really important that we have this extended range to enable that user experience.
Okay, great. I'd like to thank all of our panelists and all of our attendees today for participating in our webinar. As I've mentioned, we will be posting the video of this presentation online sometime this week. And we look forward to welcoming all of our members to our upcoming committees or SIG meetings online or our member meeting in person in October in Paris. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for everyone. Bye-bye.